Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. Wishing you all a very happy new year. Well, let's start 2026 on a creative note with love, sparkle, and a touch of fun. Interactive cards are one of my favorite styles. They're engaging, thoughtful, and easier to make than you might think. In today's video, I'll walk you through a simple interactive card design that's perfect for spreading joy this year. I'll be using a brand new die set from Kat Scrappiness today, the magical heart shaker die from their latest Love is in the Air release. This is a two-piece die set that cuts out a beautiful shaker mouse with a heart-shaped window. But instead of using it as intended, we are going to switch things up and use it a little differently today. Now, I started by placing the heart window onto an A2 size white cardstock panel. This cardstock panel is slightly smaller than an A2 size panel. This measures 4 by 5 1 quarter, which will give me a beautiful border around the edges, which you'll see at the end of the video. Now, I did position it slightly towards the left hand side, leaving some extra room on the right for my sentiment. Now, I did secure this using some washi tape and I ran it through my die cutting machine. Once run through the die cutting machine, you'll see it cuts out a heart window and you'll also get that little die cut piece along with the mouse face. Now for this project, I'll set the larger panel aside and focus on just the little heart outline and the mouse face die cut for our card today. Next, we'll start by creating our shaker window. For this step, you'll need a small piece of acetate that fits perfectly behind the open window on your panel. Any acetate will work here. You can either use heavier acetate sheets or even recycle the clear packaging from your stamps and die sets. Just make sure it can be securely adhered to the back of the window. Now, while I love using liquid glue when it comes to adhering acetate to cardstock, I prefer double-sided tape. Anytime you're working with acetate or plastic, a strong double-sided tape or adhesive is a better choice over liquid glue. This helps prevent any glue from seeping out and showing through the clear window, which would be visible on your finished card. Now to attach it, I added double-sided tape along all four sides of the die-cut window and then placed the acetate panel directly over it, pressing it down firmly to secure everything in place. Always make sure your acetate piece is slightly larger than your die-cut window. You don't want any of those sequences or shaker mix or glitter escaping from the window once your card is finished. Now with that done, our shaker window is ready. Before turning this into a shaker pocket, I like to stamp my sentiment. It's much easier to do this step while the panel is still flat and before adding any of the foam tape. Now for my sentiment, I'm using the Quinnie, the Quokka stamp set, which has some adorable images along with some really fun sentiments. I chose the one that reads, "Some days call for extra sparkle," which I felt was perfect for today's project. To stamp the sentiment, I place my panel onto my Altenew stamp wheel and using a grid transparency sheet, I lined up the sentiment, making sure it's perfectly aligned to the panel. I then stamped the sentiment with Persifine Onyx Black ink, which is a beautiful crisp black ink. I stamped it twice to get a nice solid impression. Now, since this Versafine Onyx Black ink is a pigment ink, you could absolutely heat emboss it for some extra shine. But for this card, I decided to keep things simple and leave the sentiment just as is, since we will be adding a lot of shine and sparkle inside the shaker window. Now that our front panel is finished, we can move on to the panel that will sit behind the shaker window. For this, I am using another panel that measures 4 by 5 and quarter inches. I wanted to add some beautiful pink tones behind the window, so I used a mix of soft pinks and deeper rosy shades to create an ombre effect. And don't worry about making the blending absolutely perfect here. It may look a little splotchy at first, and that's actually intentional. I love how slightly uneven and incomplete blending gives the background a more organic, natural feel once everything comes together. As I'm ink blending, I like to keep going back and forth between this background panel and my card front panel, just to double check that I have enough color showing through the window. Now this step really helps you to see how the finished design will come together and prevents you from adding too much or too little ink in certain areas. Now since the shaker window is positioned to the left hand side of the card front, there's no need to ink blend on the entire background panel. You only need to focus on the areas that will actually be visible through the window opening. This not only saves time, but it also helps keep colors more intentional and controlled while still giving you that soft blended look behind the shaker window. Once I was completely satisfied with how the ink blending looked, I moved this panel over to my splatter box. To add some extra interest and sparkle, I gave the panel a generous mist of shimmer spray. This step really brings the background to life, catching the light beautifully and adding a subtle shine to the background. I'm going to set this background panel aside and let it dry completely while we work on creating our shaker window. To build the shaker pocket, I like to use foam tape. If you prefer a shaker that has more movement and extra depth, you can absolutely double up your foam tape for that added dimension. For this card though, I decided to stick with just a single layer. I made sure to place the foam tape all the way around the window opening, sealing it well so that the shaker elements stay contained within the window and don't travel around the entire card front. For my shaker bits, I chose this beautiful confetti sequin mix from Kat Scrappiness. It's called Glamour Girl Solid Confetti Sequins. Now, before adding the sequins into the shaker pocket, I took a small paintbrush, dipped it in some anti-static powder, and lightly brushed it along the edges of the foam tape. This simple step helps prevent the sequins from sticking to the adhesive, allowing them to move freely inside the window. Now, after that step, I like to peel off the backing from the foam tape before adding my shaker bits. Now, this mix includes a gorgeous combination of pink, white, and black solid confetti along with some white pearls. Since I didn't want the white pearls in this particular shaker window, I went ahead and removed them and set them aside in a triangle tray so that I can save them for my future projects. Like I mentioned earlier, you can add as much or as little of the shaker mix inside the window as you like. It really depends on how much bulk or movement you prefer in your shakers. A lighter amount gives a softer shake, while adding more creates fuller, more dramatic look. Now, once I was happy with the amount of sequins inside the window, I made sure to remove any stray pieces that may have stuck to the foam tape. Then I carefully placed the ink blended panel that we created over the top to seal the shaker window. I pressed firmly along the edges and around the window opening, making sure everything is securely sealed so none of the shaker bits can escape once the card is finished. I absolutely love how easy and straightforward this card was to create. Interactive cards can sometimes feel intimidating, but with just a few simple steps, you can end up with such beautiful eye catching results. For this card, instead of using the white mouse face die cut that we already had, I chose a black one. I felt it added a striking contrast to the overall design and really helped tie everything together. The black coordinates perfectly with our stamped sentiment and even the black confetti inside the shaker window, giving the card a bold, dramatic look that really pops. I adhered this die cut using some liquid glue directly onto our window. You'll see that this die cut overlaps the window as well as the white part of the panel, which is what really makes this card pop. Now, all we are left to do is adhere this completed shaker window onto a pink top folding card base, choosing a shade that coordinates beautifully with the colors inside the window. This helps tie the whole design together and makes the vibrant pinks in the background really pop. And that's it. Our interactive shaker card is complete, and I just love how this turned out. It's amazing how a few simple steps can create something so fun, sparkly, and full of personality. Interactive cards don't have to be intimidating. Just a little layering, some sequence, and a pop of color can make a big impact. I hope this inspires you to try creating your own shaker cards and have fun experimenting with colors, dyes, and sentiments. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next project. Now, all the supplies that I used in today's video will be listed down in the description box below. Please note that all of these links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I'll get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you once again. Until next time, stay safe.